You're like a majority of Americans, they find budgeting way too boring. It is not something they want to do. It is very complicated to do, and it takes a lot of time and effort to do it. However, budgeting is really the key and the milestone when it comes to knowing where your money is, from the money you make to the money you take home to what you do have left over. But this video is for you if you hate to budget, guys. We're going to be running through some quick tips to really break down people who do not want to budget in ways that you can kind of go around the budgeting system if you don't want to track every dollar and if you are not building a budget with an application or building budget with writing it down with paper and pencil. Starting with number one, guys, automatic transfers to your savings. That is right. This is an easy way. It is kind of the pay yourself first, but when you're looking at building up an emergency fund or even having the ability to save money, if you're not looking to budget, guys, putting money aside, ground zero, number one, is going to make a really big difference, because when it comes to something that is an emergency that you do need money for, you're going to have money in that savings account. Now, even though you're not budgeting and you're not allocating to it, a lot of people that do set aside some of the paycheck makes a big opportunity to what you bring home, to what you actually have to spend when you already set that savings aside. Now with this, guys, the savings account should be something that is not readily available or very easy to use. It will kind of keep you from dipping right into it. Just like a lot of people will have a savings and a checking at the same institution, meaning you can just transfer money in just a click of a button, snap of a finger. You can transfer money over and you will have it available. This can really negate the non-budgeting method that you're doing. Number two, signing up for a 401k plan. That is right, guys. Number two, signing up for automatic deductions based on your percentage of your payroll, depending if you have a company match. Always putting money into a 401k. Very similar to the first step, guys. This is a way to automate your retirement. So not only are you automating your savings account in the first step, you are automating your retirement in the second step. That is going to make a big difference, because again, if you're not budgeting, if you hate to budget, these are a couple things that you can do. Number three, putting IRA contributions onto autopilot as well. As you can see where we're going with this, guys, making regular contributions to your 401k or your IRA, making sure that you're putting away 15%. Guys, when you look big picture over the next, 10, 20, 30 years, putting away 15% of your income is going to have a huge impact when it comes to retirement. That is not a magical number, but that is kind of the general guidance. Now, putting kind of more or less into that savings account, the emergency fund, even looking when they say you should save 3 to 6 months, depending on your career, depending on your situation, your health conditions, definitely adjusting what you put in there. Not only the IRA, guys, number four, we get into the FSA, which honestly, the FSA, I do not like very much. I feel like it is a flexible spending account. It is something that some people use. However, I like the HSA account. If you have an HSA account, which is number five, guys, funding an HSA. Now the FSA, the big thing with this is money goes in, which is tax-free. However, you have to spend it in the year that you're putting money into the FSA. So if you do not use the money in its entirety, unfortunately, you do not lose it. Or excuse me, with the FSA, you do lose the money that is put in there at the end of the year. Now, the counterpart of this is the HSA account, the health savings account. Now, you do have to qualify this with your medical plan. So if you have a high deductible healthcare plan, you could be eligible for an HSA. HSA is a triple tax advantage account, which is one you absolutely want to put money into. And again, if you're doing the FSA or if you're doing the HSA, they are going to be automated as well, guys. And if you like the content that I'm putting out, consider subscribing down to the video and let me know in the comments what you guys think. Number six, keeping your rent or your mortgage low. Now, again, as a budgeting aspect, this is where I see probably the absolute biggest hurdle. US rent is roughly $1,700 a month. That is right, guys. $1,700 is the average rent in the United States as of 2023. This means, guys, you're going to have to stay on that lower side. And what we're doing by not doing the budgeting method within this video is not only automating a lot of things in your life, but also making sure that the money that you are bringing home is going to be enough to cover your expenses. Because again, a lot of people don't want to budget. Most people don't budget, but that also means if you're buying a home, if you're renting a home, $1,700 is the average. You have to know where you are now. A lot of people say your housing expense should never exceed 15 to 20% of your take-home income. Today, guys, I don't see any real scenario where that is viable. What we've seen normally now is your housing costs run about 30% of your income. So again, if you're bringing home, $3,000 a month, 30% of your income at a $3,000, bring home is roughly $900 or is $900, which is kind of crazy, guys, when the average is $1,700, which means either you have to cut some expenses, have to get a lower rent, which I don't see you doing, or you have to make more money. So there's going to be a couple caveats to that, which of course, getting a side hustle, getting extra income anywhere that you can generate it while cutting expenses on the other side is really what we're looking at. Number 7, buying a less expensive car. That is right, guys. As of 2023, the average new car price is $48K. Crazy to think that an average new car price is $50,000, guys. When just looking at a year ago, it was $37,000. That means we've went up $11,000 in an entire year. Now, when you go and buy a car, buying a less expensive car, buying a used car, a used dependable car, what I recommend for people who do not want to budget or are really looking at this avenue is stay about 2 to 3 model years older than what is out, guys. So if we're in 2023 or 2024 now, you should be shopping about a 2020 or 21, because a lot of the depreciation that vehicles face, which of course we know vehicles are the biggest depreciating assets in the United States, is with the depreciation that you have, it has already been incurred for the most part. Now you're looking for a reliable, low mileage car that is not going to have a massive down payment. Staying probably around the 20 to 25 range is a good ballpark to kind of be in, and you can find some really dependable cars within there. Number 8, guys, don't dine out more than once a week. That is right, guys. We are eliminating or limiting the high-end restaurants, the eating out. When you go to eat out, guys, even recently we went to a Coney Island. We ate for 4 people. It was $52 at a Coney Island for 4 people, guys, and we didn't get anything really short of Conies and Honeys. Kind of crazy. Now, again, if you don't want to budget, this is really a part where I would recommend either creating and building your own meals at home, planning what you're going to buy, making, grocery lists. That way you're not overspending and you're not impulse spending when it comes to the grocery store. And number 9, opting for frugal entertainment. This could be as simple as getting 1 streaming service, possibly even 2, but this means that you're not going out to clubs, you're not going out to concerts. You don't want to go in debt for the entertainment portion. So if you go out to a concert, you spend a couple $100, or you go to a sporting event, you end up spending, a couple $100. That is huge, guys. That is a massive blow to the budget, especially for those that hate budgeting. But overall, guys, this is going to be one of the absolute ways that you can cut back and save money. And the final one, like we kind of touched on, working a side hustle. The only way you can really, looking at a budget in its entirety, you have the money you earn, you have the money that you spend. Whatever you have left over is what you have to work with. Now, again, there are a couple ways if you're not doing the budgeting aspect. Making more money while cutting your expenses is, of course, going to leave you more at the end of the month. This can go into investment accounts, into savings accounts, into debt repayment, into getting a down payment for a house, into anything you want, which again, a lot of people hate to budget, which I don't really understand the logic behind it. And I think personally, from my experience, it is kind of the fundamental being that it's never something we're taught. It's not something that most parents talk about. It's not something that at family gatherings or even family relations, money is so taboo, when I don't think it is. And for a majority of us, guys, in America, it is something that is not talked about on a family level, even within a family where, my wife and I with our kids, again, we talk about finances in our house, but most houses have zero conversation on that. And then when kids are getting into high school, starting college, there is zero education, no financial literacy when it comes to the education system at all. But when you start looking at side hustles, guys, this is where you can boost your income on one side while trying to either maintaining or cutting some of your expenses. Roughly 42% of United States workers have a side hustle. That is right, guys. We are not living in the time where one single income can really support a household. Most of the time, it is not one sole income where if something happens, if they go on strike, if you lose your job, anything of that nature, guys, having a second form of income is huge. And a lot of people are really realizing how much money they can make with their side hustle. and a lot of side hustles become primary hustles like we see here on YouTube, guys. I absolutely love being able to talk to you guys and going through the YouTube experience. It is something that I wish I would have done 10 years ago, especially when it comes to the financial education. So guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Again, if you like the content that we're putting out, go ahead and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.